Welcome to Resourced and Resourceful Leadership, a podcast for people who care about the world and their impact in it. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Pettit. Thank you for listening in to today's episode, which is a conversation with Emily Duval Ledger. Emily believes that being a leader means committing to lifelong learning. This is something she lives by, and now she's challenging herself to do it on wheels. I'm excited for you to hear this conversation with her, so let's just jump right in. Thank you so much for joining the Resourced and Resourceful Leadership podcast today, Emily. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you here. And I thought about you when I was thinking about people that I wanted to interview for the podcast because I'm lucky to get to hang out with you about once a week
Hmm.
and to have known you for, oh my gosh, 10 years now.
Oh, wow. It has been 10 years. That is wild. Yes, it has
Yeah.
been 10.
So I've appreciated having you in my life, starting with Leadership Long Beach and then in the community and now as my personal trainer for the last few years.
It's good. I think it's a good evolution. And I really enjoy, obviously, I love the work that I do, but I really enjoy the time that we spend together every week. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
treat.
Awesome. Yeah, I always feel like it's personal training plus because, there's definitely the friendship piece. You're just a cool person that I learn from, and you're a business coach. You've definitely supported me in transitions that I've had over the last few years in big ways. So it's like always a bonus when you're coming to my house and we get to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's silly because, yes, it is personal training, but I talk about life with all my clients
Hmm.
because that's part of it, right? Like how we change our habits and how we reach goals, we have to factor in like what's actually happening in our lives and not just push-ups and sit-ups and whatever. So but it is really, really fun, our conversations. So I enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, I know I was asking you how you might want to be introduced for the podcast, and you said for many years what you did for a living has defined who you are, and not so much at this stage of life. You did give me some descriptors: personal trainer, business coach, nature nerd, roller skater, and then with a question mark, you put joy bringer. And I would say yes for the most part, though sometimes I do fight you a little bit when it comes to certain exercises, but definitely bringing the joy. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'd love to hear just a little bit about that, how it is reflecting on those titles and how that's shifted for you over time.
Well, it's interesting. It's more of like an observation that I've had in my life in the last few years that it came really easily when people would say, "Oh, what do you do?" And I would answer that. And what I do has morphed and changed over time. But I think more than that, who I am is not defined by my work in the same way that it used to be. Especially being a small business owner, it's really easy to identify with your work. And when your work is in, I don't know if a dry cleaner feels this way, but for me, my work has always been really intensely personal. And so that was a big aspect of who I am as a person. But I think, I don't know if I'm having like a midlife rebellion or if it's more that I can just see the complexity of my own self as I age. But I find myself resisting when I meet new people, wanting to just categorize myself as I am this or I am that, when I feel like part of my strength as a person is that I'm a lot of things and that I embrace the fact that I am a multifaceted person. I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but I've always been interested in a lot of things. And
Hmm.
long ago, I realized that meant I would never really be an aficionado at anything. And like, but I'm okay with that. I would actually prefer it this way. I don't want to be the person that like plays the violin for 16 hours a day for the entirety of my life. I appreciate their talent and it comes with all that hard work, but that is not my goal is to be exceptional at the one thing. I want to experience so many different aspects of life and being self-employed has offered me the opportunity as well to let my work evolve and morph and change over time as I grow as a person. And so I think I'm just feeling more and more in my age that I really want to embrace that I am not one thing. I'm a lot of things and I'm different things to different people, and that that's really okay.
Absolutely. I love that, and I definitely do relate. I have an academic background. That's a background that really pushes you to
Yeah,
specialize and narrow. Sometimes even in community work, it's like what I've loved about my community work is that I see the connections between all of the different issues, but I'm never going to be a specialist in one of those particular issues. And so there's like that kind of trade-off there of that deep connection to one particular thing or issue, but I relate in that way of being just having that breadth and appreciating that and making connections between a lot of different things in my life too
totally.
and embracing that. So I definitely see that both in the definition of ourselves, and it is one of the things I love about having a small business myself too, and that it's like you can kind of follow it in different waves. And you've had 20 years of evolution. So that's really cool.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, knowing that also what you said, you're different things to different people. So some people know you in your roller skating community and and just like that's the way they know you. So yeah, that's really cool.
yeah. I think too there's like not being the absolute best can sort of feed a little bit of an imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
But also I feel that there is great relief and excitement in the fact that I will never know everything about this work. That I always there's more to learn. I don't have to have all the answers. I have to have really good questions,
Mm,
and that my curiosity and the diversity of my lived experience gives me the strength I need to do and the skills that I need to do what I need to do right now. But knowing that I'm never gonna like know it all. It's never solved. I mean, I think that's what drew me to training too is exercise is an evolving science. So what I
mhm.
learned 20 years ago as a trainer, some of that is really outdated and absolutely we know way better than that now. And we're like, oh, whoops, just kidding. Forget all
Mhm.
those things that we said about whatever. But it's so, like, I love that I'm never gonna crack the case. I'm gonna keep getting closer, and I'm gonna keep figuring things out as I go along, but I love that it's never solved, and then that helps me talk myself out of those imposter moments too, when I think, "Oh, I should know more. I should I
Mhm.
should have gone to school for this." Like, for example, have kicked myself a few times that I never became a physical therapist because a lot of the training that I do, even kind of early on, really tended to focus on people who had a lot of orthopedic issues, or now I work with people with neurologic conditions like Parkinson's, which I'm very passionate about. But the
Mhm.
more I learn, the more I'm like, oh, I should have gotten a doctorate in physical therapy because that would have been amazing. But at the same time, the physical therapists in my life keep telling me, no, it's really good that you're a trainer because you can fill in a piece of the puzzle that we cannot, that they are constrained by certain things with their licensing or with the way insurance works, or the system is very complicated and they navigate it in a different way than I do because their role is different. And so
Mhm.
it actually is it's a good thing that that I'm in this lane. And that was really exciting to think like no matter what we have something to contribute.
Mm.
Even if we're just starting out, we have a lot of value to bring to the table, even as we are seeking more knowledge and wisdom along the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really cool to hear about. I know even though I do have a PhD in something, I always feel that drive to learn more or get that course or do whatever. And I think that's great. And, we're going to talk about that lifelong
Mhm.
learning. It is important. And it's always something that I work with myself and with people that I coach is like, you know a lot already. And what you have to
Mhm.
bring right now is valuable.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like and you can bring maybe a different lens. You're talking about, you're filling a different piece of the puzzle, and that's important. There's value
Yeah,
there too.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that you don't have to be good at all the things. That
Mhm.
one of the skills and talents is looking around you and empowering other voices to be heard, encouraging other people to take on roles or to work with you. There's a great book called Who Not How,
Mm.
and it's all about, it's really easy to fall into this thinking of like, I have this big goal. How am I going to do this? How on earth am I going to make this happen? Instead of who can I partner with that is going to help me reach that goal? And that if I have any goal of a significant size, likely I'm not going to do it alone, and really embracing that and delegating, but also partnering that the people that I engage with to help me reach the goal, that should also feed them and give them something. So it's not just like I'm hiring laborers to make this happen as much as I'm empowering the strengths and skills and talents of the people around me, and that they get something very satisfying out of that relationship as well, that it's not just a, transactional thing.
I see that in the way, because you're part of different collaboratives and
Yeah.
you work with people in different ways. So you probably do complement each other and pull in different strengths and resources as you're supporting each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the organizations that I'm a part of is called the Neuro Collaborative, and it's an association of neuro professionals all over the country. There are some internationally as well, and it is multi-pronged. It's a professional organization, so there's a lot of networking and connecting, especially because people who work with neurologic conditions, sometimes they are the only practitioner that does that in their county. So they just don't
Wow.
have a network of people to collaborate with. And so this is baked into that, which the community aspect of it has been amazing. It's also a continuing education program. So they have really talented instructors and professors and clinicians who've been doing this work for a really long time. But even they come to the table with this sense of humility that, like, okay, this is what we know, but let's figure this other piece out together. And I really love that this like utter lack of ego, that the
Mhm.
eagerness to learn. It's so interesting because I think that a lot of the patients and clients who are the recipients of their work probably have no idea just how earnest these professionals are in trying to show up with all of the tools that they can to help them. It's quite moving, honestly. And
Mhm.
I joined because I had a fitness business that was helping people with Parkinson's, and they had like a peer to peer kind of mentorship, but more of an accountability group for a very small subset of us that were small business owners. Everybody else mostly works in hospital and clinical settings. And that sort of evolved over time from peer to peer to they asked me to do different presentations on what I was doing in my business because was working with a business coach at the time. So I was sort of like, it's like third party therapy, right? You're just kind of
Yes.
bringing along. And we were really trying to normalize transparency. I opened up all my books. I showed everybody what I made and what I didn't make and how much it cost me and how I organized it. And then over time, they asked if I would coach some of their clients and kind of lead the educational piece of that. And so it's not work I ever expected to do, but I think that's the fun, right? Is like, where is life going to take me in when I
Yes.
wasn't doing this work when I met you 10 years ago,
Yeah.
right? I was opening my gym and I was terrified because of, oh no, here I'm going to have all this responsibility and all these employees and it's just really, I think, really wonderful that we genuinely do not know where life is going to take us. If we're
Mhm.
open to it, it could be a really interesting ride.
For sure. I am curious because we've talked a little bit about the origins of your, well, I don't know that we talked about what was the spark that made you start personal training. I know a bit about
Mm,
your experience growing up and like how that's different from what you do now,
yeah,
but I would love to just hear a little bit about that and then some of the evolutions if you want to share over time.
sure. So my focus was art, performing art, and that's what I majored in in college. I got a theater degree in directing and acting, and I had a theater company with a friend that was really satisfying. We brought the vagina monologues to Long Beach. We did all these like feminist plays and picked our projects, and it was wonderful. And I loved it. And professionally, it's really hard to be an actor or a director in the in general. You have to be willing to really hustle. And so I kind of found myself in like an arts administrative kind of role. Like I worked at a PR firm and then I ended up as a marketing director at a performing arts center here in Long Beach. And I knew, like, at first I was excited about it because it was just a new challenge, right? But then once I'd had a couple seasons of doing the same thing, I was like, I just know I don't want to do this forever. I really do. And at the time, the workplace, I was surrounded by people who had a lot of job security because it's a state institution. And so there was a lot of like complacency and know myself that was not a place where I was going to thrive, really. And so at the same time, I'd never really been a fitness person. I did not play sports at all growing up. I mean, I swam in the pool, but that was basically it. So while everybody else was playing catch and t-ball, we were making music in my family. That's what we were doing. And so when I started as a marketing director was also the same time when my best friend who I'd had the theater company with became very ill. She had inoperable brain cancer, and it was a really long, hard road of like 2.5, 3 years. And she was my rock. So I just felt like my whole foundation was sort of tossed. And there was a friend who said, I'm going to take this kickboxing class through the Long Beach Parks and Rec. It was like at a Taekwondo studio. Do you want to just take this with me? I think it'll be fun. And I said, sure. And I signed up. It was like a 6-week thing. And a couple weeks into it, she dropped out because her work schedule changed. And I took that class for 4.5 years. And it just opened my eyes. Like I realized that I had always assumed I wasn't naturally athletic, but it was really, I just didn't have that exposure or that teaching. When I went to PE class in school, I genuinely did not know that the other kids had already learned how to catch because that's what they did at home. And I just thought, well, I can't catch the ball. Everybody else can, right? I suck at all these things. And it never even occurred to me that their exposure had been different, that no one was like singing harmony and playing the cello at home when they were like playing soccer. Um, so it was sort of an evolution of like professionally, I knew I didn't want to do that forever. And also, I kept taking that class because the stress relief that it gave me when I was dealing with all of these big, heavy things, life stuff, it just kept making me feel better and better. And I noticed that there was this correlation between when I would have a victory with a physical challenge that bled into my professional life. I was a little more confident and a little more adventurous and daring, and I stood up for myself more and I advocated better and I set bigger goals. And it just bled into really my identity. And so I was sitting with a group of girlfriends, sort of lamenting, like, I don't know what direction I'm going to go into. And I was like, sometimes I feel like I should just quit my job and become a personal trainer. And they were like, well, why don't you? And
Mm.
I'm like, I could think of no reason why not. And I'm like, I think I might do it. And they started chanting like, quit your job, quit your job, quit your job. And I was like, but I am so glad because they're right. Like we sometimes feel stuck even when we're not, because it's just easy to tell ourselves that story. And I wasn't stuck at all. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have children. I had a very supportive partner that I was living with. What am I waiting for? And I was
Mm.
making so little money as a marketing director at an arts organization that it's not like I was throwing away a 6-figure salary. No, I was like, that was also after I had begged and pleaded and advocated to try to get a measly raise. And I
Mm.
had this moment where I was like, I want to be in charge of how much I make in my career. I don't want to wait for someone to promote me or give me a raise. I want to have agency over that. And now I will never work for someone again. Like after 20 years of being self employed, I'm ruined from being an employee for sure.
For sure.
It's
Wow.
so interesting because I tried to fit into all these other roles. And when I became a trainer, is when I realized that this work really feeds on all my natural skills and talent. It
Mm.
was like putting on a tailor-made suit, and I was like, "Oh, this fits." And it was amazing. I feel like what a tremendous gift. I could have searched my whole life for work that would give me the meaning that that did, and that it's extraordinary. I'm really grateful.
Mhm.
It's gotten me through a lot of hard being a self-employed can be really challenging, and my, like, deep gratitude for how this work makes me feel gets me through a lot of challenges for sure.
That's amazing. I'm also hearing in your story the importance of those friendships and people saying, "Quit your job and why
Mhm.
not?" And just even encouraging you to go to a class in the first place,
Yeah,
all of those pieces. Yeah, and it is so important to have those support networks too that are like cheering you on.
yeah, and it makes me want really then I feel like I'm paying it forward. I'm constantly trying to make the people around me feel like they can do even more than they think. I can see now as we're talking about this direct correlation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I totally see that. I mean, you saw me in some really hard moments as I transitioned out of my last job and into
Yeah.
full-time running my own business full-time, and you were so supportive, just that, like, transparency you talked about, even just sharing tools with me. Here's how to track your income, if you wanna sit down and chat, like, just all of that was so supportive and definitely, even when I'm grumpy about it, you're always pushing me to for the on the physical piece of feeling strong and, like I can do more than I think I can.
Mhm. Mhm. In my mind, I consider it that I am lending you my confidence. We
Mm,
all have moments where we can't find ours. It's I know I put it somewhere and
yeah.
so I like to think of it as lending other people my confidence in them until they find it, and then I take it back and I lend it to the next person. It's like a little free library of confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. Because sometimes you do need to hold that confidence for other people too. I know in my coaching
Yeah.
work, it's like sometimes you can see people so much more clearly than whatever story they have going on in their mind about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's
I
really,
think a
really
lot of
important.
coaching is helping us get out of our own way. And it's
Mm,
just easier for someone else to look objectively and say, I fully understand why you're having really big feelings about that. But if we go back to the fact, like, you're okay, right? Like,
yeah.
when we really look at it, it's never as big as we feel it is, right? So,
Right.
yeah, to help people kind of get over that hump is really
Yeah.
rewarding because then they're like, oh, so much better. I have a coaching client who is working for someone else right now, doing a role that is way, way beneath what her actual qualifications are. And she's ready to start her. But when she moved to the area, she felt really nervous about just starting her own business when she didn't know anybody. And so she's been pretty transparent with her boss this whole time that, like, I'm going to start my own thing eventually. And now she's ready to do it. And her boss overreacted hugely. Like, you could tell she just had a really visceral fear response to, now this person is going to be my competition, even though they
Mm,
absolutely like, if they work collaboratively, they could refer a lot of business to each other. So, you have the goal or the choice, right? That it could be abundance theory, rising tide is going to lift all ships, or we're fierce competitors and whatever. And her boss went into fierce competitor and got a lawyer and started writing up all these non compete. And I was like, if you can stay calm in this situation while she feels her very big feelings, this is going to be a blip in the long run. But it's easy when someone's way overreacting in front of you to let that impact you. Like, wait, am I doing the wrong thing? Like, no, you are. That's
Yes,
just someone who is struggling with fear. That actually has
right.
nothing to do with you and what you're doing. And you've been fully transparent the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how beautiful that you can be that mirror or like hold that confidence too. Like you can be calm in this, you are doing the right thing because that can really
Yeah.
shake your confidence too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that piece too about collaboration or competition, like the fear. What I have found is, I mean, it's normal to sometimes have those fears come up, but I fully believe there's more than enough work for all of us. And when you can find those partnerships and that kind of collaborative spirit, you're just so much stronger. People do refer to you and vice versa, and it's just finding those relationships and not seeing it as, oh, I have to be in competition with everyone that
Absolutely.
does
I
something similar to what I'm doing.
yeah. I mean, I think too, the fitness industry tends to be a little competitive, a little territorial, which is hilarious because like none of us invented the push-up. So I don't really understand it. But I really was on a mission with my company to try to help my quote unquote competitors see how we could collaborate. And because I really wanted a collaborative vibe amongst my team. So I realized I had to model that also in the community, that I couldn't just ask them to work together and then we're still in this weird place. And honestly, at first, a lot of my fellow peers, we'll call them not competitors, were really they weren't super receptive to it at first because they were used to being like, no, you and me. And but that's also fitness is very personal. Like it's a personality thing. Like there's some trainers that are just going to speak your language better than others. And it doesn't mean that they're a better trainer. They're just a better fit for you. And so trying to take that into my work practices and say, like, I am perfect for my ideal client, but not everybody is my ideal client. I want these specific people and I want to show up and do my very best work for these specific people. And then everybody else, I'm going to send to my competitors who are more ideal for them. And I feel like we all benefit from that
Hmm.
instead of, no, I want all the business, even if it's not appropriate for you. Right. When the
Hmm.
pandemic hit, the larger chain gyms that no their business model was based on volume and people paying for services that they didn't actually use, they went bankrupt. And my little itty bitty fitness company, my clients stayed because they knew us, they valued us, they were willing to pivot to Zoom. They were all kinds of flexible, but everybody canceled their 24-hour fitness membership,
Hmm.
right? So, like, the competition bit of it seems very silly in the long run. When I think when we work together, everybody does better. The clients
Right.
do better, the businesses do better. Yeah.
Yeah, and you do want to find people who it's a good fit for them and for you too. That
Yeah.
you like working with them, that you feel like you can support them, and that they can be motivated by you and your style. And that is different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's interesting too, thinking about how did you get involved or how did you start supporting people with neurological conditions?
Oh, well, it was sort of by accident, as many I'm realizing that's a recurring theme in my life. I had a client who's my age. I'm almost 50 now, but I had a client who I worked with for just regular health and fitness. She wanted to create healthy habits. And so we'd been working together for several years and had really become quite close. I really liked her. And her mother was diagnosed with Parkinson's and she was going to physical therapy and she had a trainer. There was a little gym that used to be at Cal State Long Beach and she had a trainer over there. And she called me one day and it was like, Emily, ran over check. And I was like, oh, am I in trouble? Like my client's mom called. Did I do something wrong? And she basically told me that I needed to be her new trainer. And I said,
Mm.
well, I don't know anything about Parkinson. Like, I would love to help you, but how can I? And she said, you're a smart woman. You'll figure it out, which I feel now obligated to say to as many smart women as possible. If anyone is like, am I going to be able to? Yeah, you are, because you figured out all these other things. So you will figure this out too. I went with her. Her physical therapist had really good foresight. I guess I should back this up by saying that when you have Parkinson's, exercise is a vital key to your longevity. It is the one thing that can slow the progression of the disease. So, physical therapists who work with people with Parkinson's are like, you have to exercise. And they're very emphatic about it. You have to exercise with intensity. We need to do specific adaptive exercises to help your body be able to still do certain things because it's like your brain forgets that muscle memory, right? And so she's with this physical therapist who's like, you need to keep doing this. You're getting released from physical therapy because you only have so many sessions a year. And you need to make sure that your trainer is having you do this. And she recognized that she had a trainer who was like a really well meaning guy, but he was like 18. I think he was afraid of her because she was an older woman and she had a couple health conditions and now she had Parkinson's. And he just was not going to challenge her, like, which he meant well, but
Yes.
it was not going to be the training that the PT wanted. When Fran called me, she said, my physical therapist wants you to come to our sessions. And I was like, okay. So I went and oh my God, it was like the complete opposite of the training world I had been in. That the PT was like, let me teach you everything I know so you can keep doing this work with her in her home several days a week. Like the generosity of knowledge and it was amazing. And at the time, this was many years ago, I don't even think I could get certified in the Parkinson's exercises. I think they only offered it for physical therapists. So she's like giving me all these Xerox handouts and just trying to fill in the gaps. And then eventually there became more continuing ed courses so that I could get like officially certified in it. But really, it was my client and her PT who taught me most of what I knew. They at least got me started. And
Mhm.
I think that's something to be said is that I come into this work, I'll do tons of research. I really want to bring as much knowledge as I can. But ultimately, who I learn from the most is usually my client. When you tell me how you feel in response to a workout that we did, that gives me more information. And sometimes we don't know in the moment, we know a day or two or a week later. So it was very collaborative working with Fran. And then that just led to, then that PT started sending me more and more clients with Parkinson's because now she knew she had a trainer she could refer to. And there's an organization that created the adaptive exercises for Parkinson's, and they have this really cool gym in Tucson, Arizona. And so I went and volunteered for a week. They do a retreat for people with Parkinson's, and the entire team of practitioners is volunteer fitness professionals, physical therapists, occupational therapists from all over the place. And so I got to work with them and learn from them. And it's just kind of evolved from there. Like now I love this work. So the more I can learn, the better. And it really is evolving. Like what we know about Parkinson's, it has evolved a lot in just the last 10 years. So it's exciting if I can help my clients maintain really good quality of life right now. We may be 5, 10 years from a cure. So it's like, okay, well, then I got to keep everybody in really good working order because I want them to see that moment. I really do. So, yeah. And now we're doing a whole falls training thing. It's just fun. There's so many layers to it. And it's really, really cool. Plus, I'm working with older adults who are teaching me their life lessons while we are exercising together. So,
Yeah.
I'm kind of perpetual student, which is great.
That's amazing. It seems like a really wonderful community, and I am curious about what are you learning from the clients that you have as they're teaching you
Mm.
kind of those life lessons along the way?
Part of it, so I do still have some health and wellness clients like you.
Mhm.
But most of my clients, over 50% of my clients, are in their 70s and 80s. And it has really it's really influenced the way I view how I want to age and my view of how to prioritize my life right now. Like, if anything, it's ironic because I love working with them. I love my work. So it's really easy to work too much, but they sort of keep reminding me that I have to enjoy this. I have no idea what the future holds. And several of them were diagnosed like mere seconds after they retired. And this
Mm,
is not how they envisioned their retired life to be.
mhm.
And I think that they've really helped me keep my perspective and not get so worried and stressed about the small things. Like, they're like, yeah, that's hard. And we'll get through it because they know, right?
Mhm.
And I think I'm learning that anyway in my midlife, but even more so having kind of these older mentors. They are dealing with really heavy duty physical challenges and they keep meeting it with humor and courage and a determination to make today like as fun as possible. And if that is the theme of the whole rest of my life, then I feel like I'm doing something right. For example, um, we just started a falls training class. I say we, I'm collaborating with another trainer, which is so fun to be team teaching with someone again after several years of being solo. And it's basically teaching people how to fall properly. That we work a lot with older adults on fall prevention since falls are like a big part of why we die, right? Is that you get a bad fracture, it makes you not be able to be active. And then there's like a really sharp decline after falls. And so much of the work forever has been about fall prevention, but some falls just can't be prevented. So teaching you how to protect your head, how to control your momentum instead of trying to stop it. It's basically tumbling for 80-year-olds. And so
Wow.
I've rented this jujitsu studio, and once a month we go roll around on the floor. And we had a class on Friday, and they are so willing to try any weird thing. I even had like a circuit of different stations, and they had to crawl on all fours from one to the other. Because I'm like, well, if you fall in the hall, I want you to be able to like crawl to the living room to help yourself up, right? And no hesitation, no question. They're just like, okay, this is weird. Let's do it. And they're like this, they're just undeterred. It's made me tenaciously optimistic about life
Mm.
because they keep exceeding expectations. A lot of them have had severe medical issues where you think, oh, this could be the end. And then they just come back swinging and they're even better than they were before. And then I'm like, okay, then I don't know anything. Like, I need to stop pretending that I can predict the future. And I'm just going to assume the best because if I'm going to be wrong, I might as well be wrong and feel better about it than assume the worst. And it doesn't prepare us, right? Like, if I think it's going to go badly and then it goes badly, it's not easier because I'm like, see, no. So I might as well just be tenaciously optimistic about how things can turn out because most of the time we're actually sort of right. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll take it.
That's awesome. Speaking of, I don't know, falling, that
Oh, yeah.
trying things out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You are learning to skate at 48. Is that right?
Yes. I am learning to roller skate and it has
Yes.
been a really cool adventure for sure.
Yeah. So what inspired you to take up roller skating?
I know this is going to be silly, but because I'm terrible at it. Like, my only experiences on roller skates were like catastrophic and really embarrassing. And I was like, I think I'm drawn to things that feel a little too hard, and there was just something about it that felt way too hard. I'm kind of naturally klutzy, and yeah, I think that was part of it. And then I bought skates ages ago, And ironically, okay, so there is a skate shop in Long Beach, and it used to be owned by her derby name is Estrogen. And at the time, Long Beach Roller Derby was super popular. And I went and bought skates. And she was trying to give me the like hard sell to join roller derby while I was picking out my skates, which was hilarious because I'm like, I am a runaway train and no one should want me on their team. But at the time, she was in traction because she had broken her clavicle playing roller derby. So she's like all casted up and everything, trying to tell me that this is a sport that I definitely should do. And I was like, this is not a good sales pitch. So I bought those skates and then they literally sat in a cupboard for years and years and years. And so we live here in Long Beach. There's the beach path and you see people skating and cycling and running all the time. And I'm out there all the time. I love to cycle. I love to run. And I had a friend who was going to do this rollout. It was like, there's like 1,000 people. It's called the Suns Out, Buns Out Rollout. And it is a body positive, like roller skate meetup at the beach once a year. Crazy fun. And so I was like, okay, it's in a couple months. I'm going to start skating. So then I feel good enough to go. Okay, great. Well, I looked at all the YouTube videos and I tried really hard and I did go to the rollout and it was way more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like welcoming and inviting and acceptable than I ever imagined. I was really worried that I would run into someone because I didn't have great control. I couldn't really stop very well. No one cares. They're like holding on to each other and nobody cares. All the things that I was anxious and worried about, nope, none of it. Completely relevant. Everybody there has been a beginner at some point. There were beginners there. No one cared what I looked like or how good I was, or like, I thought it would be like this cool kid club that was very exclusive. And no, it was like the most inclusive. And I don't think it was just because this was a body positive themed rollout, but that didn't hurt because then it just like the love in the air, this moment of like, man, if women were this kind to each other all the time, none of us would have weird issues about our body image. 'Cause it was so
Mm.
like the kindness, it was palpable. So I did that rollout. I wasn't great, but it didn't matter. Nobody cared. And I had a great time. But while I was there, a friend of mine introduced me to the coach of a local roller derby that's nearby. It's only about 20 minutes from the house in Garden Grove. And she knew them well and knew the vibe well, and I think she also, like, just made a really good match. They're called High Tide Roller Derby, and they were about to start a skate camp, which is like a 12-week skate 101 kind of thing, and that's how they recruit new members, but they swore up and down it didn't matter that I didn't wanna play roller derby because again, I have a very physical job, contact sports, not a wise choice. Um, and so I hesitated for a sec because it was a big time commitment and I'd have to rearrange my work schedule, which I always tend to put work first. And so I was very proud of myself that I just told my clients I am no longer available on these 2 evenings a week and I'm going to go skate. And oh my goodness, what I learned. Like it was such a positive experience. I feel like I learned a lot about skating and I'm a way more comfortable, confident skater now, which was really the goal is I just want to be able to go out and go and not be anxious the moment I pick up speed. Oh no, how am I going to stop? How am I like they took all of that away and now I just feel really I'm not amazing, but I feel really good and I know I'll continue to learn. But also like I felt that the process of doing something like that taught me a lot of like really valuable life lessons. So it's not just about learning how to skate. It's really permeated a lot of the different aspects of my life. And I feel like that experience I will hold very near and dear to my heart, like for the rest of time because of that.
That's awesome. What are some of the lessons that you've been learning through roller skating?
Okay, so the first day, they so in roller derby, you fall a lot because people are pushing you over. It happens. So when I went to my first practice, I thought that the whole point of me doing this was to learn how not to fall. And I immediately learned that that was the opposite because they, like a few minutes in, they're like, okay, so this is how you fall. We want you to, so you're basically doing like a knee slide. Sometimes your elbow pads hit the floor, but really you have to have good padding. And that's how you protect yourself. So they had this very specific fall that they want us to do. It's called a 4-point fall. Okay, great. They teach it to us. I was like, okay, I guess we're in this, right? And I'm like, a little uncomfortable, but fine. And then they're like, okay, so now it's called skills on a whistle. You're gonna go around the rink, and every time we blow the whistle, you're gonna fall. And I was like, oh, okay, then that's something. And so, like within the first 10 minutes of being there, I think I fell at least a dozen times, if not more.
Mm.
And it was genius. Because, I'd been practicing on my own before that, but I was really struggling with certain things because of the fear. And by just falling and falling and falling and falling, it took the fear out. And then it was so much easier to learn those stops and those transitions because my fear wasn't getting in the way. And I
Mm.
thought about like, wow. I think a lot of us let fear dictate how we do whatever it is that we're doing. And so thinking about making choices based on, but if I couldn't fail, what would I choose? I think gets us way closer to our goals. Most of the time, we are the obstacle, we're in the way. My mindset is messed up. So why don't I make a choice just pretending that my mindset is not messed up about this? And let's see how that goes. It was so like the value of staying calm, having fun. I did everything better every time I went back to bend your stupid knees and relax,
Mm.
calm down, take a breath, have fun, enjoy it. That really, really made it so much easier. They also do this thing where they have kind of like an icebreaker question of the day, which is great because then you get to really get to know other people. And so towards the end of practice, they would have us pair off with an advanced skater and a beginner. And you'd have like 5 to 10 minutes to practice some skill. And it was whatever you had been working on that day that you just maybe wanted a different set of eyes, a different input. So the more advanced person would give you a little feedback, or this is how I learned, or this is the thing that clicked for me, kind of thing. But they also give you this icebreaker question, which would be like, one of them was like, if you were going to be reincarnated as a piece of furniture, what would it be and why? So here we're supposed to be practicing the skill that I'm struggling with. But since we're talking about, why I'm going to come back as a hammock on a beach or whatever, it's easier to learn the skill. It
Mm.
just takes me out of my head and I'm not like hyper fixated on, I got to get this right. I got to get this right. It's more like I'm listening to them and then they move and it's easier to transition because I'm following them because I'm engaged. And so I thought about that like in the challenges that we're having. If you find yourself hyper fixated on what's not working with it, can you go away? Or can you think about how can I make this more fun?
Mhm.
Or can you actively try to relax so that you can approach it with a better mindset? Um, I just think we do better.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
no less than 3 times per practice was I pushed way outside my comfort zone. And what
Mm.
I love about it is that they were always very gentle and very kind about that. You think of roller derby as like hard and mean, and no, not at all. They're like, this is what we're going to do. We believe you can do it. If you're nervous about it, here's the first tiny step of it. And then you do this other tiny step and this other tiny step. But you do you. And I was like nudged into discomfort, but never felt that I was being pushed into anything. And I had the choice to opt out of anything. So that freedom made it really easy to be like, try. 'Cause I don't know how it's
Mhm.
gonna go, but I'll try. And worst case scenario, I fall. and I already know how to do that. Some coaches even have people sort of envision, like really envision what failing would look like. So then it doesn't have this big mystique about it. It sort of like demystifies the whole thing. And then it's
Mhm.
easier to just take the big leap because it's not big and scary anymore. It's like, "Well,
Yeah.
what's the worst case scenario? This. Would I live through it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's go."
Yeah. That's so interesting because sometimes mindset is about that positive, that vision, and sometimes it's falling and thinking of the worst case scenario. And,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like all of it. It's like you need to believe that you can and stretch yourself, but also confront the fears that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I'm kind of an achiever person. I like to get good grades. I like to do well. It's important to me. And so when I would catch myself getting really kind of stuck on whatever it was that I was trying to learn, I had to go back and remind myself, like, why are you here? You're here for fun.
Yes.
So don't put so much pressure that you have to nail that. Just have fun trying. And
Mhm.
more often than not, then I would get it quicker. As soon as I would be like, stop that. Enough of you, like, you should, this isn't, why can't you do this? And this like tape plays in your head. No, just, you're here for fun, right? Most of the stresses that we have in our lives, we created as people. They are not natural stresses. Yes, the hurricane is coming. That is stressful. And I don't
Mhm.
have any agency over that. But most of the rest of this, I want to enjoy my life. I want to have a fulfilling life. And if I've decided that doing a certain thing is going to add to that fulfillment, but then I'm working it so much that I don't feel it, then having this arbitrary goal does it matter? Maybe it doesn't matter. Just so that I can say I achieved a thing? Maybe not. I mean, I think
Yeah.
going back to the very beginning of our conversation, I think that's why I'm starting to resist labels a bit because what I achieve is not who I am. My value as a human is not related to my contribution or my productivity. Yes, I want to positively impact people around me. That's really important to who I am at my core, but my value is not reliant upon that.
Mhm.
And I've happily been in service of others for most of my life because that is where my joy comes from. But understanding that I'm doing this for joy, I'm not doing this as an imperative. And I don't want to be the person at the end of my life who worked the hardest.
Mhm.
No, no.
Yeah, absolutely. So many lessons there too.
Right.
I'm also thinking about when you started skating and there was a piece of your wheels that were missing, a
Oh,
piece of your skates that were missing.
forgot about that.
To me,
Yeah.
there were so many
So,
little lessons in that story too.
yeah. So basically, if you buy a piece of equipment and then put it in a cupboard for years on end, some of the components just disintegrate. And I didn't know because they looked like pretty brand new skates. I'd worn them a few times, but not really much. And I was practicing and it was so hard. This was before the rollout. I would just go to the beach and I'd do these long skates. And I'm like, surely in a few miles, I'll have figured it out. I didn't really have a plan. Right. And my outer hips were just screaming. And I'm like, am I out of shape? Like, is it just this is hard? I'm sure you've had these moments in your life and you're like, is this just challenging or am I like square peg and a round hole situation? Like, what is going on here? And so finally, I was at the beach on a Saturday with a friend. Most of my practice was by myself, but I was with a friend, community, score one for the community. And I said, can I look at your skate? Because my front wheels were able to move side to side by like a half inch. This is not nothing. Like the whole axle was moving. And I looked at hers and hers weren't moving at all. I thought, okay, so is this something I can adjust? Like clearly I just don't know enough about skating. And there happened to be a group that rents skates that posts up at the beach on the weekend. And so I went over to them and I was like, "Hey, do you like adjust this or whatever?" And he was like, "Oh my God, baby girl, you're missing your pushing." It's like this little rubber stopper that the axle goes into that keeps it still, and mine were gone. So he, like, because they have rental skates, he went and took some off of other skates that he had in the truck and came out and installed them for me, or, whatever you call it. And, oh my god, like, night and day. I was like, "Oh, no wonder I couldn't stop because I had no control." I was, like, constantly working so hard just to go straight when my skates wanted to go off one way or the other because that
Yes.
piece was moving. Yeah, so I guess a life lesson is, like, learn about your gear and check it regularly. Just
Yes.
saying. Yes.
Yeah,
And
it was.
ask for help if you're really, 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 really struggling on something. Don't be stubborn. Just go ask for help because I was not gonna figure that out on my own.
Yeah. I remember when you were telling me about it because it was like you were really trying and you were trying hard. You were putting in the effort. And so it was just good that there was that moment where you were like, "Okay, let me check in with a friend." And then like there was someone there who could be supportive too, It's like
Yeah.
we can do a lot on our own and having, just that space where people can be resources for you as well is
Yeah.
helpful.
And I appreciated the fact that when I talked to him, I think this is a characteristic of the skate community. There was no shame. He didn't make me feel bad at all that I
Mhm.
didn't know any better. He was so kind and like, "Oh, yeah, this happened." And then I told my friends, 2 of them skateboarded for like a bajillion years. And even they were like, "Oh, yeah." In fact, there's one like pro skateboarder that he takes them out because he likes the challenge. Like you're just way more
Oh,
advanced.
wow.
But, like, they were so I kept thinking that the skate community was gonna be exclusive, and it is the most welcoming group of people that are like, "Yeah, it's messy. You're in the right place.
Mhm.
You're good. Yeah." You can go up to someone who's a really good skater as a beginner and ask them for a tip, and they will give you one
Mm.
without judgment. They'll just be like, "Oh, yeah, this is how I started. You know what clicked for me is someone said this, and that really helped me learn the thing, whatever it was." And that I don't think that's exclusive to this community here. I think that this is just baked into the sport, which is
Mhm.
funny because I always thought of skaters as like cool, but
Well,
they're even cooler than I thought because
yeah, it's cool to
they're
be
kind.
kind,
So
right?
don't be
It's cool to be kind.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know people can follow your skating journey on Instagram at Silver Skate Girl.
Yeah,
So that's
which is
pretty cool.
my humble journey to learning how to skate, and yeah, so there's no fancy tricks on there, but it's just me being honest about the thing, so
That's
but I thought, well,
awesome.
I'm inspired by other people who try new things, especially in middle age, like, there's this skateboarder that I really like who she kind of became internet famous because she skated a bull in a sari, but she never even learned how to ride a bike as a kid. And then her kids were learning how to skateboard. And she, at like in her mid 40s, was like, actually, I want to learn. And she's awesome. And she just is so like, this is the thing. This is how I learned. She puts her little blooper reels up there. It's not about being polished or cool or filtered or perfect. This is really like real learning curve in real time,
Mhm.
which is just inspiring. Makes me feel like, yeah. So I'm hoping with my account, if it inspires anybody to try anything that feels new and weird and uncomfortable, good, right? It's good for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we talked about for you being a leader involves committing to lifelong learning and wondering if you could share any more on that or what leadership means to you.
I think as soon as we feel like we know it all, we're done. And not to get too political, but I think people are really feeling that right now. with some of the leaders of the Democratic Party that they've just plain stopped listening to the constituents who are saying, like, no, this is really what we need you to be fighting for. They think
Mhm.
they know, but they stopped asking.
Mhm.
And so I feel like, yes, I have a lot of wisdom at this age. I have a lot of experience, but I will always have a lot to learn. And my willingness to listen to others and learn from them can help me be a better leader in anything, big or small. That we need to always come at it with a sense of humility, and that I don't know it all. I won't ever know it all. And that's really where the magic happens, right? Like, I want anybody, you're seeing this with some young leaders who are like, tell me what you need, tell me what you want, tell me about your experience and how I can help you. Instead of saying, I have the answer and the answer is this, right? We're done, I think, with people telling us that they have the answer. Like, we need
Mhm.
answers, but we need it to come out of the community and not one person. And I think in my early years of running a company and having employees, I thought a leader had to be very specific characteristics, decisive and strong. And, I was like pretending to be a leader. I put on the leader mask. And then I realized, like, that's not how I lead. That might be how other people do, but I'm not ever, that's a weird copy of a leader. Instead, I should be humble and I should listen and I should work with them. And my job is to set them up for success and not about my, it's not about my feelings as a leader, my fears, my hangups, my whatever. I need to ditch all that and be humble. And it's, leaders are service people, right?
Mhm.
And so also being open to other perspectives that challenge what you think you know, I think is really
Mhm.
important. And so
Absolutely.
anything that we do in our lives that puts us in a place where we are the student is a very good practice for that, right?
Mhm.
Like, even with your daughter, you're the mom, but she has a lot of wisdom. And I know she teaches you things all the time. And
Mhm.
it's like, you're going to learn how to be a mother from her.
Right.
I've learned how to be a trainer from my clients. I have one client that I've worked with since January of 2007. So we are
Mm.
creeping up on 19 years together in a couple months here.
Wow.
And we are perfect for each other because I taught him how to be a really good client for me, and he taught me how to be a really good trainer for him. So now we sort of laugh that we can't ever break up because we don't want to have to train anybody else. We know the job description now, but I didn't, he is part of why I know what I know right now. And
Mhm.
who I work with tomorrow will help me grow that much more.
Mhm. That's awesome. In a time when empathy is political, you can always get political talking with me,
Mm,
as you know. And ever since I've known you, your values and your leadership have shown through. So I've
mm.
just really appreciated this conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I am curious if there's anything else that you want to share before we wrap up.
Now I feel like I've talked your ear off, but I am just really happy to be here. When I met you, it was in the context of Leadership Long Beach, and that gave me tons of imposter syndrome because I'm like, I'm not a leader. What can I
Mm.
contribute to this group? What can I? And I learned pretty quickly that I just have to bring myself.
Mhm.
You had Nada on here not too long ago, which also makes me feel quite honored that I am on a podcast that Nada has been on. And, her point was to show up, and that sometimes that's our best contribution. And if you don't quite know what your role should be, show up and listen, I guess would be my addendum to that. And
Mhm.
you will hear the opportunity to contribute. It will be there for sure.
Mhm. Absolutely. Show up and listen. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with Emily and hope those of you who are listening did as well. If you want to hear more of the Resourced and Resourceful Leadership podcast, please follow or subscribe to the show wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. And if you're a fan and want to support the show, definitely follow or subscribe if you haven't done that already. Please also consider leaving a 5-star review and share the show with a few people who you think would appreciate it. And please check out the link to SpeakPipe in the show notes. I'd love it if you left me a message. Thanks again and take good care.